Hello also, in our previous videos we have clearly seen what is CNG, what is its advantages, disadvantages, installation cost, what are the brands available in the market, and with CNG how much we can save with the running cost. So everything we have seen in our previous videos. So currently many of us will have a doubt. So I do have a BS3 or BS4 or BS6 vehicle, and if I give to the installer what are the components they will install and what will happen with those things, we will see clearly in this video along with a direct installation in two different cars with two different brands. So here are the list of components that the installer will install in your car when you give it for CNG conversion. So let us see them everything in detail so that everyone can understand in layman terms. The first component that you see is the filling valve, and this is the place where when you go to the CNG bunk they will fill the CNG, and this is called a filling valve. So when you fill that CNG, right, it has to get into the tank, right? So this is the tank, and in this tank, it will get filled for 20%, 50%, 75%, and tank full. So how do you know that our tank is full or it has this much? It's with this gauge. So this gauge is nothing but a small meter which will show how much amount of gas is available. This is 20%, 50%, 70% tank full with this green light. And apart from that, this gauge also acts as a switch, which is nothing but switching between CNG and petrol. Just by pressing this, you can directly change it to petrol. And CNG by default, it will start with petrol, and after reaching certain temperature, it will get converted to CNG. And if you want to override this and to run your vehicle in petrol mode, just click this button. So this is the basic. And as we can see from the tank, the gas has to go to the next component, which is called as reducer. So as the name implies, this is the one which is helpful to reduce the pressure of the gas from the tank to the pressure that is required by the engine. So this will reduce its pressure, and from the reducer the gas goes to a filter. This is something like a fuel filter. So in case if the gas has some impurities, that will be captured in this filter, and it's advisable to replace every 10,000 kilometers. Certain installers says that this is not required, but still my advice is to add this filter, which is much safer and costs around 350 rupees, which we can replace during every periodical service. From here the gas moves on to the next component, which is called map sensor, which is for manifold. This one senses the input pressure of the gas and sends the detail to the ECU, and with this data ECU calculates how much amount of air fuel mixture should happen. So as I mentioned, this gives instruction to the injectors on how much amount of gas it has to spray inside the engine. Apart from that, we do have two vacuum hoses in the map sensor, and this is injector. This is the main component which is responsible for spraying CNG gas into our engine. Apart from this, we do have another component which is called timing advancer, camshaft timing advancer, and this is actually optional. Certain installers install and many installers doesn't install this one, but it is always advisable to install this component by default. The reason I am saying is, so petrol will have around 90 octane, whereas CNG will have 110 octane, which is much denser. So in order to make CNG completely burn inside the engine chamber, we have to do some timing advancement so that there will be no residue left over, because the whole CNG that gets inside the chamber will get burnt without leaving any residue, which is why we are installing this component, and this is 100% mandatory from my point of view. And this will not be part of your regular CNG kit. This is an additional component that you have to purchase, which will be available with your vendor itself. And this advancer, there are two types. One is called static and another is called dynamic. So if your car has no fanciful engine and it's a normal engine with no turbo or any other special features, then you can go for static. And in case if your car is equipped with something like IVTech, VVTech or something like that, or with the turbo, it's always advisable to go with dynamic. Dynamic is nothing but you can't adjust manually, and static is something that we can adjust manually. So camshaft has some degrees like 6 degree, 9 degree, 12 degree, 15 degree. Some cars even have 30 degrees. So based on your car's requirement, check with your installer and try to choose which one would suit you better. And there are multiple brands available for the same, which we have to choose. Now let's see what are the components that will be present directly inside a box. So here is a Lavato kit. So inside one box we have three more boxes which comprises all the components that the CNC requires. Let's see them one by one. As we had seen earlier, The first component is this one, which is a reducer. It's actually quite heavy. And this is ECU, injectors. So there will be 4 injectors. Most of the cars in India has 3 and 4 cylinder engines. Connecting wires. This valve comes in tank. Followed by that, this is the filling valve in which we'll fill our CNG from bunk. Then we have our filter, and then comes the map sensor, and this is the timing advancer from Spider brand. Also, we have this gauge or switch which I mentioned. Then we have some connecting to bolt, nut, brackets, everything, and followed by that connecting tubes, CNG sticker, and some warranty card. Apart from that, this tube is the one which connects between tank and the reducer. And to see the tank, so this is the one. So tank is measured in liter, which you can see in our earlier video, link in the description. So in this is the timing advancer, and as you can see, there is some number, right, 1 2. With that only they will adjust the degree, so making it on and off will move to different degrees. Now let's see an Hyundai i20 installed with Stag brand CNG kit. So i20 comes with 4 cylinder, which means we'll be using 4 injectors. So this is a reducer. From reducer directly it goes to the filter, followed by that map sensor, followed by the directly to the injector. Very simple to understand. And also, as you can see, we have installed timing advancer from Motozone brand that's placed here, and the ECU is placed inside over there. And next to show, we have the filling valve. For this car, we have to open the bonnet every time, and then only we can fill. That's how it has been placed. And also, a heavy fuse has been placed before giving it to the battery. Also, to open this filling valve, it's very simple. Just pull this one, and we can fill in. That's all. And then we do have a sticker being installed here stating the cylinder number, date of installation, capacity, and reducer number, and next retest when we have to do, and vehicle registration number. So everything will be present in this one. So next we will see another car which is Alto 800 installed with Lavato CNG kit. Also to mention, Alto 800 is a 3-cylinder engine. So let me show you. So now it will be very easy to understand for you. So this is the reducer. From there it goes to filter. From there it goes to the map sensor. And from map sensor, it actually goes to the injectors. And as you can see, only 3 injectors are connected and one is left dummy. The third one is left dummy because it is a 3-cylinder engine. And for this car, we have installed the timing advancer over here and covered with a plastic cover so as to ensure that no water is inside into this one. And in case if timing advancer fail, we do have a dummy with which we can direct and make the car to work. And ECU installed right here, the blue color one, just behind the battery. So next I will show you this gauge or switch, this one. So when I turn on the car, by default car starts with petrol, and after reaching certain temperature it will convert to CNG. And also in the left side you can see how much amount of gas is already present. Let me give a small raise so that it gets switched from petrol to CNG. As you can see, it has been shifted to CNG. That's how simple it is. Now let me show you the tank. So as I mentioned, the biggest drawback of CNG is you have to compromise your trunk. So this is a 65-liter tank. We do have a stand for the same, and this is how it is placed. And in order to access the stepney, this is how we have planned on. So pull in the rear seat. From this way we can access the stepney. There are multiple ways to place a stepney. Some people place it vertically and some people prefer to keep it horizontally. It all depends on your own interest, which you can customize. And in this car, we have placed the filler valve next to the petrol tank. So only if you ask, the installer will place it here, else they will place only inside the bonnet. So always it's better to ask. If there is space, insist them to place it here, which will be much easier for us. So these are the components that is the whole thing. And once the things are done right, the next thing is tuning. As the word mentions, it's a manual tuning. So they will connect the ECU to a laptop and they will sync between petrol and CNG's ECU. From that data, they will try to match similar to the petrol but by little advancement. So apart from this, the installer will ask you to drive, and based on your driving style, they will also adjust the injection flow for each RPM so that the drive actually feels without any difference between petrol and CNG. So with this, we'll close this video. Thank you all for watching.